Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Fireside Chats with Dave. Sorry for being a little late. Once again, I was having some technical difficulties with the live event streaming thing here on Facebook. Um, Welcome back for another edition of Fireside Chats with Dave, where we continue our talk on the history of golf in Western Pennsylvania tonight. If you've missed any of the previous four chapters, be sure to check out the videos on our Facebook page or on our brand new YouTube channel, which has all four of the previous chapters of the history of golf in Western Pennsylvania uh, loaded up for you to watch. Tonight, we head into chapter 5 in our 9-part series, and tonight we're talking about the king himself, Latrobe's own Arnold Palmer. And I'm very excited to talk about Arnie tonight. So we're just going to jump right on into it and get into the life and times of the king himself, Mr. Arnold Palmer. Arnold David Palmer was born on September 10th, 1929, to Milfred Deacon Palmer and his wife Doris in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Now, Deacon Palmer may sound familiar to those of you who have been watching week to week, as I mentioned him briefly in Chapter 1 when we talked about the foundations of the golf courses in Western Pennsylvania. Deacon Palmer was on the grounds crew in 1921 when Latrobe Country Club was built, and then he would go on to become the superintendent of the golf course as well as the head golf professional, positions he would hold for the rest of his life. And Arnold learned the game from his father. He grew up on the links in Latrobe, and he was a very accomplished amateur golfer, as you would expect of somebody of his professional pedigree. He won 2 Whitfield championships, 2 PIAA state championships, 2 West Penn junior championships, and 4 Western Pennsylvania amateur championships during his amateur career. He graduated in 1947 from Latrobe High School, a year after another famous Pittsburgh icon, none other than Mr. Fred Rogers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood fame. That fall, Arnold attended Wake Forest University on a full golf scholarship, where he befriended a young man by the name of Bud Worsham. And while Bud may not be a familiar name to you, his brother Lou won the 1947 U.S. Open that summer before embarking on a 30-plus year career as the head golf professional at Oakmont Country Club. Unfortunately, quite tragically, Bud Worsham was killed during the boys' junior year at Wake Forest. And Arnold was absolutely devastated by the loss of his best friend and dropped out of school entirely to join the Coast Guard, where he would serve 3 years before turning to different avenues, but focusing mostly on golf. On the links, Arnold played in his first major championship in 1953 when he played in none other than the U.S. Open right here in our own backyard at Oakmont Country Club. Of course, we talked about that several weeks ago. Ben Hogan was the winner of the 1953 U.S. Open, his 4th and final U.S. Open victory. Arnold would miss the cut during that event, but the following year he would go on to take home the U.S. Amateur title, where he would win at the Detroit Country Club. Later that year, he would turn professional and embark on one of the most prolific and accomplished professional golf careers in the history of the game. Starting in 1955, Arnold would go on to win 95 times worldwide, including 62 times on the PGA Tour. That record is still good for 5th all-time in wins, with just Tiger, Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus, and Ben Hogan ahead of him. He would win 7 majors in his career. He would appear on 6 U.S. Ryder Cup teams. He would captain a U.S. Ryder Cup team in 1975, which we'll talk about in depth next week on Fireside Chats. He won 4 Varden trophies, which is for the best scoring average on the PGA Tour, and he was a 2-time PGA Tour Player of the Year, amongst many other accolades, including Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year, and also being awarded a Congressional Medal of Freedom in 2006 by President George W. Bush. Now, Arnold's first win came in his rookie season of 1955 when he won at the Canadian Open. And for that win, the young Latrobe native earned $2,400 for a total first place prize. A couple years later, at the 1958 Masters, he would take home his first major championship. It would be the first of 4 wins at the famed Augusta National Golf Club, where he would also win in 1960, 1962, and 1964. He won back-to-back Open championships, the British Open, in 1961 and 1962, and he took home his only U.S. Open victory in the summer of 1960 at Cherry Hills Country Club out in Colorado. Of course, we discussed how Arnold finished runner-up to Jack Nicklaus in the 1962 U.S. Open a couple weeks ago. He would also finish runner-up in, I believe, 3 U.S. Opens overall, losing 3 different playoffs to Nicklaus, Billy Casper, and I want to say Gene Littler, but I may be incorrect on that. Unfortunately, Arnold never won the PGA Championship, so he never completed the career Grand Slam, the winning of all 4 majors in their career. Only Gary Player, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Sam Snead, and Ben Hogan have accomplished that feat. Away from the golf course, Arnold changed culture and sports in numerous ways. One of the biggest things Arnold did for the game of golf is he really made it accessible to the everyman, to the blue-collar man. Before Arnold came along, golf really was a wealthy game, and it still is to some aspects. It's not cheap for clubs, it's not cheap to play, but Arnold, coming from that blue-collar background, really made the game popular amongst the average man. And since then, we've seen just the absolute leaps and bounds explosion of the game in America and across the globe. And Arnold Palmer is a major factor in that. The purses and the money and the TV that you see with golf today really didn't start until Arnold came on the scene in the late 50s and early 60s. And then, of course, Jack Nicklaus took up that mantle in the late 60s and through the 1970s before Tiger Woods really made golf explode on the national and international landscape of sports in the 1990s and into the 2000s. But Arnold impacted the game and the world in sports in several other ways. One of the first being is in 1960, Arnold teamed with a sports manager named Mark McCormick, and the duo created the International Management Group, known as IMG. And it was the first, and to this day, one of the premier sports marketing firms in the world. And today they represent many golfers and other athletes across all 4 major sports in North America. In 1971, Arnold actually purchased Latrobe Country Club, his home course, and him and his father expanded the golf course, designing and constructing the second 9 holes that Latrobe is now famous for. Arnold would also purchase, design, and own the Bay Hill Club and Lodge in Orlando, Florida, the site of the Arnold Palmer Invitational every March. In 1972, Arnold opened Arnold Palmer Golf Designs, and over the next 5 decades, designed over 300 golf courses worldwide, spanning 5 continents, 25 countries, and within the United States, 37 states feature courses either designed or redesigned by Palmer and his company. Arnie was instrumental in the formation of the Golf Channel, which is one of my favorite things to watch, and I'm sure a lot of you out there enjoy watching it, and I'm sure others of you out there hate when somebody in your household has it on. But without Arnold Palmer, the Golf Channel probably would not exist. He was very instrumental in its launch back in the early 1990s. And one of the things more locally, as far as Arnold's concerned, is if you're in the Greensburg, Latrobe area, you'll notice that there are many, many things that are named after Arnold. Highways, car dealerships, shopping plazas, but most importantly, the regional airport. Arnold was a very accomplished pilot, a very passionate pilot. And the stories I've been told is in his office at Latrobe Country Club, he had little models of every single type of airplane and helicopter he ever flew in his career. And over a 55-year career, Arnold accumulated over 20,000 hours up in the air before he finally gave up his pilot's license after he turned about 80 or so. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this final mark on Arnold's impact on culture and society. Where would we be without the infamous Arnold Palmer drink? Many of you, of course, know the Arizona iced tea that is features Arnold's character and great taste. The half and half iced tea and lemonade, though, Arnold will tell you that it's more 3/4 iced tea and only a splash of lemonade. Makes a true Arnold Palmer. Either way is one of my favorite drinks, and I'm sure a lot of you out there enjoy it as well. Personally, Arnie was married twice in his life. His first wife's name was Winifred Walzer, who went by Winnie, and Arnold met her in 1954, right before he turned professional at Shawnee on the Delaware, a golf course and resort in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, near where I grew up, and it's actually personally one of my favorite golf courses. Arnie met Winnie during a tournament there, and they had quite a whirlwind romance, and later that year they were married. And the couple had 2 daughters together, but unfortunately Winnie passed away in 1999 after a battle with cancer. And 7 years later, Arnold remarried to a wonderful lady named Kathleen Gothrop, and the two remained married until Arnold's death in 2016. Now, of his daughters, of course, he had several grandchildren and great-grandchildren, but one of his grandsons, his name is Sam Saunders. And for those of you that are passionate golfers and golf fans and like to watch the tournament, Sam Saunders is a member of the PGA Tour, an accomplished player in his own right. Of course, doesn't have the career that his grandfather did, but is doing quite well on the PGA Tour in his own right. Philanthropically, Arnold had a great heart and did a lot for every community that he was involved in, whether it was Western Pennsylvania or down in Florida. He started the Arnie's Army Foundation not long after turning professional, and to date, the foundation has created several children's hospitals and a nature preserve in Winnie's memory. And they continue to do great work. You can go on their website and see some of the projects that they're working on currently. Unfortunately, we lost Arnold 4 years ago. In late 2015 and into 2016, his health started to fail, and he passed away on September 25th, 2016 at Shadyside Hospital, awaiting surgery on his heart. He was 87 years old. And of course, he passed away the week that the 2016 Ryder Cup matches were just about to take place up in Wisconsin. And the U.S. team really rallied around Arnold that week, and they were able to take home their first Ryder Cup win since 2008. And the following week, the entire U.S. team was at his funeral here in Latrobe with the Ryder Cup in tow. So a great tribute to Arnold at the very end there. And that is it as far as our conversations on Arnold Palmer this week. An absolute legend in the game, one of my personal heroes. There's several great books written either by Arnold or about Arnold. Arnold's book, A Life Well Played, which came out right after his death, is a short little book written by Arnold with different stories on different things. I highly recommend that. There's a Tom Callahan biography named Arnie that came out not long after his death. I also highly recommend. And I believe James Dotson also wrote one entitled Arnold Palmer, My Life, which is a very good one as well. So make sure if you want to learn more about Arnie, there's plenty of books out there for you to read up on him, and I encourage you to do so. If you've missed any of our fireside chats, be sure to check out our Facebook page or our YouTube channel for those. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram at McKeesport Heritage, where we're posting a lot of great things several days a week. Make sure you check out the Curators Book Club. We just added a new book this week, so you can check that out either on our social media pages or on our website. If you would like to donate to the museum, there's information on how to do that on our website as well, and every dollar really helps us out to keep us your Mon Valley Museum. So please consider giving. And at the present moment, we are still in a holding pattern with the pandemic going on. Allegheny County is in the yellow now, which has seen the reopening of a lot of businesses, which is a good sign to see. Unfortunately, we have not reopened. We are not allowed to reopen until we get into the green. But we are hopeful that we'll be opening our doors to you soon. There's a lot of great stuff going on at the center right now. And we're really excited for you to see it. Arts and entertainment is almost completely installed at this point. Teresa's working on some great stuff for grants and fundraising to help boost the museum even more. And of course, Gail is working on her obituaries and all your genealogy needs. And if you're in need of genealogy help, you can still contact the center, and we would be happy to do some work for you in that regard. Other than that, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed a brief talk on quite the character in Arnold Palmer. Again, check further readings for more information on him. Be sure to watch our previous Fireside Chats, and we'll see you back here again next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m., where we will be talking about international competitions in Western Pennsylvania, focusing particularly on the 1975 Ryder Cup and the 2002 Curtis Cup, which was held at Fox Chapel Golf Club. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one, guys. Stay safe. Stay well.